Hello there. My name's Mark, and this is Holocron Chronicles episode 43. I'm joined, as always, by my trusty co-pilot, Charlie Carden. Charlie, how you doing tonight?
Michigan represent! I almost never wear t-shirts. It was a work from home day. I grabbed my Michigan cap that I got in Mackinac City, Michigan a couple of years ago. So I'm Michigan the shit out of this deal. You know what I mean? I love to represent my beautiful state. So I'm doing good, and even freshened up by watching tonight's topic this evening. So I am super duper fresh. I'm fired up. It's going to be a good program.
Fresh all around. I watched this movie again over the weekend, so I'm ready to go. And before we get into the movie, though, I have to introduce our special guest, Treavor Bettis.
Hello.
Trevor, how you doing?
Doing well. I realized that before we started recording, I didn't ask if we could swear, but Charlie cleared that up for me, so I'm good. I'm good to go.
the gag with that is that I struggle with. I mentioned our co-husband Todd Axtra, my best friend of 25 years, my college roommate. He tends to put on airs about, well, I got this one friend who listens with the kids. I'm like, look, tell your friend and that they should listen to some other shit because adults talking about Star Wars and Star Trek video games, so just knock it there.
Sorry,
I got all your.
That doesn't get at the message. I don't know what will.
I got all your out of the way. Yeah, you know what? I learned the F-bomb from my mother when I was probably 4 or 5, so it's cool. Not a big deal.
Good to know.
My 2-year-old dropped an F-bomb on the weekend,
Shut
and I was like,
up.
maybe we should. Yeah,
bro.
The worst part, he was playing with some other kids at the cottage, and
he was like, "Hey, little fucker, get out of here!"
He dropped something, and he just said it, just like "fuck," and it was just like, "Oh no, we gotta change our pirate language." Maybe just around the 2-year-old, but here it's okay to drop 1 or 2 or 76, as Charlie just demonstrated.
That's okay, you bet.
Before
and we drink too, it helps.
There we go. That definitely helps. If I drank tonight, I'd fall asleep at my desk, so I'm not going to do that. I do have some Diet Pepsi, but that's about all that I'm mixing it with. Before we get into Trevor's origin story, I do have a couple of show notes. One, thanks again to Estelle at STKY Walker for sending in the new art of Charlie, Todd, and myself. I was still so shocked by that. It's so cool just to get like a fan art kind of thing.
I know. First, and we hope not the last.
That's if that's the last, it's fine by me.
Right. It's a good start and finish.
One and done. That's going on a high note. But Estelle, thank you so much. And thanks to everyone that subscribed over to our YouTube channel, got us over 100 subs. If you haven't yet, keep on going there. We're going to keep filling that with great video. And there we go. Now, Trevor, let's hear a little bit first off about you before we get into your Star Wars origin story. So what do you do on the internet?
Oh, wow. A lot. Well, first off, I'm the community manager for Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, a D&D idle strategy game.
Holy shit.
I'm a podcaster. I do 3 weekly shows, Champions of Lore, Champions Psychology, and writing about dragons and shit. And then every other week one called I'm Gonna Podcast, where it's just me and my friends being stupid. Then I have another one called From the Same Mister, where me and my half-siblings talk about being half-siblings. And I do a lot of things.
Holy shit. I was going to say, we talk about stupid shit too, but we're bi-weekly 3 shows, weekly 1 show.
There you go. That is quite the schedule and quite the list of shows. And I love all of the names. Like when I was looking up just on your Twitter profile, I was like, man, the names of these shows are just phenomenal.
I wish I could take credit for all of them. I absolutely can't, but I'm very happy with them.
Excellent, excellent. Man, well, we'll have to plug those at the end so people can kind of catch up, and of course they'll be in the show notes and all that kind of stuff. But now I do want to jump into your Star Wars origin story. So first off, how did you get into Star Wars? You're a big D&D guy.
Yeah.
How do those two worlds collide?
Well, I was absolutely a Star Wars nerd before I was a D&D nerd. I don't actually remember the first time I saw them. I just remember the VHSs being in the house, and I would just periodically go grab them and watch them. And so like I don't remember starting with Star Wars. I just remember there always being Star Wars. And And so, yeah, I watched those all throughout my childhood and got really into them when they did the re-release in '97. I got to see all but Return of the Jedi in theaters, and it pains me that Return of the Jedi is the only Star Wars film I have not seen in a theater.
Oh man,
it hurts me.
Based on that alone, after 43 episodes, I'm going to put you in somewhere around the same age bracket as myself. I'm 37. You don't have to reveal your age, but you can nod and smile if I'm really close.
I'm 34. I'm close.
Oh, all right. Children.
Somewhere around me or my brother, because we were both. He's 2 years younger than me, so I was trying to put you in that ballpark, a tiny bit younger, but still close. Just the VHS in the house. Yep. Always having Star Wars around, seeing the re-releases leading up to the prequels in theaters. You had to be around there somewhere.
So Todd and myself, Michigan State University, East Lansing, Michigan, 1997. I was 21 when we had the special editions. My first film, I tell the story all the time. I was 4 years old. Empire Strikes Back, summer of 1980. Yeah, I'm old as shit. I'm 46 and a half almost. Months shy of 46 and a half.
All right.
Excellent. Yeah. So with that being said, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
I'm gonna go with Revenge of the Sith. I've been rewatching the movies slowly, just like whenever it's like late at night. I'm like, I've got like 30 minutes before I need to go to sleep. I just have been putting them on slowly, and I got to Revenge of the Sith, and I'm just like, this is just a fun movie. Like, it's dark as hell, but like the first 30 minutes of it, because I love Clone Wars. That's like some of my favorite Star Wars that's out there, and like the first 30 minutes of this movie is a Clone Wars episode. It's wacky. It's awesome. It does really cool things and then really weird things. I loved it.
I mean, I've said time and again, the first 30 minutes of that film, and in particular, the first 2 minutes of that film, is right up there with my favorite of any Star Wars content.
Yes.
The Drums of War, which to me kind of flashes me forward to the beginning of the Battlestar Galactica, the Ron D. Moore 2009 version in the miniseries, the Drums of War, zooming in on the ship. And again, 2005 versus 2009 is a strong emotional connection to me. Yeah. And that's my favorite, the Drums of War, and watch those ships kind of whine in and then fly over, do that turn, and that
freaking John Williams score. Oh my God. There are times where I'll just be driving in the car. I'm like, I want to listen to the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
Just listen to that transition between the opening crawl and the boom, boom.
Oh, it's so good.
Boom.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm going to go watch it before I go to bed. Just that first
Charlie's
2 minutes.
Do it.
My wife's going to be like, stuff. "What are you doing? I'm to bed, you moron." I'm like, "No, I got to hear the whines of those Jedi starfighters."
Yeah.
Be like, you're sleeping on the couch. Get out of here.
I do think it does honestly hold a special place in my heart, though, because it's the one that I did the midnight showing for. I got to the movie theater at 11 a.m. I stood in line for over 12 hours and saw that movie and loved every minute of it.
We had a 2-screen theater in the town that I was living in at the time, St. Clair Shores, Michigan, Metro Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
That it was I had in my wallet for years the little half of the paper Carnival red ticket torn in half. That was my midnight showing for episode 3. So
that's
for
awesome.
years and years I had that. Yeah.
Amazing. Favorite character?
Oh, see, you gave me this ahead of time, and I swear to God, I sat there and looked at them, and I was like, okay, I know what these all are, and now it's just all blanking on me.
And this doesn't have to stick to movies. You can go, and I should probably change that movie, one of my favorite Star Wars thing, because I think Clone Wars would be up there for a lot of people, or myself, like Mandalorian's, like right up there with Return of the Jedi for me.
Right.
So favorite character? What's you can talk about a couple of characters. We're not.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm going to go with the one that like I was most disappointed hasn't shown up in any media yet, and it's from the old EU. I loved Kyle Katarn as a kid. I don't know why. He was just the most badass, and I loved every time I got to play it as a game, and then got to play the game where he was your master. It's so cool. Sorry, I love Kyle Katarn. But as of stuff that's out there right now, Din Djarin is given like all the characters a run for the money. I am absolutely in love with there you go. You got the helmet right there. I have the original. Hey!
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
This
right
is
now
kinda
I'd say
similar.
Din.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, up there with me, and it's weird to say. And I was just on another podcast, We the Gamercast. It's mostly about video games and stuff, but
Mhm.
we started talking about Star Wars and different things. But in that one, the host Sean Capri asked me like, "How soon can a game be your favorite game or like the best game ever?" And we were talking about like Breath of the Wild, and everyone was like,
Mhm.
"It's the best game ever." But for the most part, like those kind of things, it's like it has to be a character that's long developed, or has to be a game that's long developed. But like Din just came on the scene and was just like,
He had it
shit,
all.
he's right up
Yeah.
there with Luke for me. And it's
Yeah,
weird
right.
Oh
to
yeah.
say that.
See, that's the thing. Beforehand, I would tell you like Luke
Right.
Skywalker,
Yep.
like as a kid was absolutely my hero. And to be fair, Mandalorian season 2, when Luke showed up, I was a mess. I'm just sitting there crying tears of joy. I'm like, this is my everything. The X-Wing shows up and I'm just going, no, oh my god. But Din's just
I've
go ahead.
rewatched that single episode
Oh yeah.
a dozen times. Be like, Mandalorian rewatch. No, we're just gonna go with the last episode of season 2. Just oh god, it's got everything, the emotions and the explosions and the blah blah blah. But anyway, that's enough out of me.
Yeah. But yeah, Din's character development and everything so far. Love his character arc. Cannot wait to see more.
And that's one of the benefits I think of TV shows, and we see that in Marvel as well. I think for me anyway, you spend even a 6-episode arc as you're spending 6 hours with these characters versus, maybe the best in an ensemble cast like most Star Wars movies. At best, you're spending an hour or so with any single character, probably less. So we've seen more Din on screen than probably any other character in Star Wars at this point. It's like, not counting, let's say Clone Wars, but live action wise, I think Din's probably the most developed and most seen Star Wars character. Which is wild.
Yeah.
And, but we've spent the most time with him. So obviously I think he's going to be the most developed and I think helps us get into his character. But I love hearing that too. Cause again, it's one of mine, just like instantly, favorites. I think based on your answers, I think I know where you're going to go with this next one, but light side or dark side?
See, I want to say an answer that will irritate my friend B. Dave Walters. I want to go gray side because when I wrote fan fiction in high school of Star Wars, all of them were gray siders because I wanted them to be good guys but also shoot lightning out of their hands.
I will simply say
another lightning person.
I will simply say that Colonel Sanders did not make a gray chicken. So
I didn't realize that the Colonel was the barometer of the Force.
Yeah,
the Colonel runs everything, in my opinion. I have an OC in my cosplay who's a rebel Colonel, and I've dubbed him Colonel McChicken when I'm off book. So Colonel McChicken is going to call bullshit on your grade. If I get Grey Jedi at KFC, that shit is going in the garbage, and Karen is talking to the manager. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'll answer it on terms of
Charlie's
what ends up
off.
happening in Knights of the Old Republic the most for me.
Never.
Okay. What? Okay, you're like, there are several people who say, I want to be light side with force lightning. What is this? It's a recurring theme on this show.
It was a high school thing of just like, it's cool, it's edgy, like you're gonna be like, oh, he's got the dark side power. In all reality, it's just like, no, it's just there to be cool and edgy. But like, no, in all honesty, light side is my thing. I like it a lot.
And so we have a light side character in Rey who did force lightning.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can do force lightning and be good, but it pulls to the dark side. But I don't know if it's mutually exclusive. I think force lightning.
According to all the old games, it was.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, right. Old, not non-Disney approved. So the mouse does not roll. Yeah,
I really wonder if force lightning it would be like one of those things. And I read a cool theory about her healing ability as well, and how that was forbidden. She read it in the Jedi text, but over time, so it started off as a light side maneuver, and over time it was banned by the Jedi because if you're trying to heal something and you're giving your energy, that's showing a connection. So you're, it's showing, some sort of, you're holding on to that, right? And Jedi have to get rid of their connections and be this, like whatever. So that was something that I read about. And I think that was kind of a fan fiction-y kind of explanation of like why we hadn't seen that before, aside from like Grogu as a baby not knowing what he's doing and just naturally using that. But like Rey kind of learning that ability, it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Was that banned? So I like that light side, but with a little darkness. I think that adds some flair, some Mace Windu vibes.
Yeah, it's fair.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of Mace Windu and his super awesome colored purple lightsaber, what's your lightsaber color of choice?
Well, speaking of Mace Windu, it's going to be purple.
I didn't know that.
You were planning.
This was not planned.
That was
this was not planned, not scripted. That was fantastic.
Well, to be fair, I actually have had this sitting next to my desk for like a month. So
I have not. There's definitely a space over here that I could balance my lightsaber, and I haven't done it. And I just really right in the corner to be nice and scary. Yeah, Mark, I might have to make a little adjustment. So we'll see.
Yeah,
let's see what comes around next time.
Yeah, so that's Galaxy's Edge Saber.
Yeah, I built this at Disneyland, and I went in there, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do something. And then I got in there, and I saw the piece in front of me, and I went, I'm going to make my fan fiction character's lightsaber from high school. And so I did. This is almost exactly what it looked like in my head. And so when they're like, crystal time, I'm like, give me that purple one.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
and
I love this thing.
I've said it on the show before. My saber is the one I built at Galaxy's Edge as well. I went with Elemental Nature. Specifically, when I saw the Rancor Tooth, Tenel Ka, my girl, from the EU, I was like, man, I gotta go with that. I hope I don't lose an arm, but we'll go with that one anyway.
You run the rest.
Anyone that read like Young Jedi Academy is like, yeah, that's right. And the two people that have read that other than me. And then the wood for my boy Gunji, who luckily is canon. But that was my choice. So I love the personal connection choice in the Galaxy's Edge Sabers. It's a beautiful design. I love yours.
Oh, thank you.
Nice. So anyone not watching the video, go check it out because that is a really good design. I
Do it too.
Last question. Personal favorite affiliation. This can be anyone. Jedi, bounty hunters, space pirates, rebels, Sith.
Oh, easy. Rogue Squadron.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Another pilot. There we go, Charlie. You got one.
Walk the walk.
There you go.
Colonel Fen Shan. That is my OC. I'll look at my Instagram. You'll see some pictures.
I gotta go check that out.
Yeah. So what is about the Rogue Squadron specifically that
I just first up, I grew up on those games. Like the Rogue Squadron games for N64 and GameCube were just my everything when I was a kid. Because we had Shadows of the Empire and stuff like that, but to get behind an X-Wing and fly it and everything like that, get to know Wedge and everybody like that. I was the super nerd that when me and my friends would watch A New Hope together, I'd be like, it's Wedge Antilles! It's Wedge Antilles! and then getting I never finished the book series, but the ones that I did read, I absolutely love them. I got to meet what's his name, Michael Stackpole that wrote the original one, and such cool dude.
Wow.
I just love Rogue Squadron. I hope we get some Rogue Squadron-y stuff soon.
That's Patty Jenkins apparently is.
That's right. It is going to be a Rogue Squadron movie, isn't it?
Right. So we're holding out some hope, but
until they tell us it's dead, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I will hold on to hope until then.
Yes, absolutely.
Grim hope.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, that's all the getting to know you questions. So let's jump into the news. We only have a couple of things. First off, I don't know if I know you two haven't been following any of this or seeing any of this. There's been some stuff. Specifically, I saw most of it on TikTok. It kind of bled over to Twitter a tiny little bit. I'm not going to give any names or boost the channel at all. But there's been a formerly, and I never watched the stuff, I had to kind of look up the news story and like see what was happening, but I still haven't like checked out the channel, and I won't. But there's apparently been a homophobic, transphobic, maybe sexist, kind of like racist, just all around general fuckface of a puppet.
I hope it's not the person. I hope it's not the person that I know is that who is big in the action figure community. But go on.
So I've followed puppets accounts before, like video game wise. Arlo is fantastic if you're a Nintendo fan. Good stuff. So when a puppet starts like spouting some like weird homophobic shit, it's just depressing because there's probably kids watching that, especially like former if it was formerly like a good kind of place. So again, I don't want to get into the shit because I don't know the stuff, because I didn't really like pay attention aside from seeing other people's reactions and people who I trust and seeing their reactions. But I did want to reiterate that this show specifically is open to everyone, supports everyone. If you don't agree with that, this isn't the place for you. Mm-hmm. Thanks for listening, but you should probably maybe find another show and think things through on your way out, and hopefully come back when you're a little less bigoted. So
yes, please.
Please. That's kind of all I really want to say about that. I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments or anything along those lines, but
my only comment is I'm really happy to hear that you said all that, and that's fantastic because screw homophobic puppets.
I will do I'll do what I do every episode, which is bring Star Trek into the mix. IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Gene Roddenberry's bedrock for all of the pieces of shit that are say Star Trek's too woke these days with Discovery and this and that since 1966. Literally, shut your fucking face with that shit. Exactly. This is the world we live in. You know what? And I have this conversation with friends of mine all the time. I'm 46 years old. I don't necessarily understand gender politics, but I respect it because it's not my struggle. I've always respected gay politics because it's not my struggle. I'm not gay, but nothing you're ever going to do is going to hurt me by being gay, by being transgendered. Why would I take offense? Why would I try to hurt you? It's unbelievable to me that people, and throw a damn, I remember Patton Oswalt's famous routine talking about the Bible. I'm glad that you like a book, but I can't go to the White House with a stack of Green Lantern comics and ask President Bush, make me a Green Lantern ring because it's in a book I like. That's organized religion to me. Sorry. Hopefully we didn't lose a whole lot more listeners, but then again, I hope we did.
I'm gonna separate this conversation from like organized religion, because you can separate. I mean, they're not always separate, but for this specific case, I'm gonna separate that, and we can get into the rest of the stuff later on. Because if church is your thing and you're still a good person, then that's cool. That's sense of belonging is great in any kind of community, as long as it's a positive one, and it makes you a better person. So that being said. Again, just, love one another, support one another, and don't listen to and block people that agree with a homophobic puppet.
Hashtag SFU love. Take it all the way.
Moving on from that kind of quickly, and that was a weird story, but I had to
very much so.
Charlie.
Yes.
You're the big HasLab guy. You're the big
I am.
You follow this stuff.
I do. And
listen on what happened.
April and I have funded a HasLab. It was non-Star Wars. We funded the G.I. Joe Sky Striker last year, which we thought was super cool and had a lot of great unlocks, and that's fun. HasLab is basically from Hasbro, which is a manufacturer of, obviously, Star Wars action figures, G.I. Joe, Transformers, so on and so forth, a lot of different lines. But they had an enormous success about 4 or 5 years ago with Jabba's Sail Barge for the 3 3/4 vintage series line. They had enormous success with the Razor Crest subsequently for the 3 3/4 inch line. They've dipped their toe into the Black Series, which is the larger scale, 6-inch, basically 12th scale figure, which is the line that I collect. First and foremost, earlier this year with a Rancor. Obviously the Rancor, which we've already been talking about from Jabba's palace, failed spectacularly. It was poorly planned. The subsequent unlocks for the price, people didn't really feel were adequate. There was a couple of pieces of cardboard and a couple of plastic accessories. They had another prepackaged figure in the mix. It failed to fund. So they circled back. They decided, okay, we're going to go with a role play item this time, which I think was very, very dangerous, because they got into a lightsaber role play item, which again, lightsaber industry is absolutely huge. We've already been talking about that. Galaxy's Edge, where you guys have your sabers from. Your affiliate link, which Mark, you didn't even mention your affiliate link. Now's your time.
Well, I was gonna save that because I reached out to Alan about something. But anyway,
never mind.
Level
Okay,
Up Sabers.
all
No,
right.
that's all good. We
Thank you
can
very
do it
much.
now.
Exactly.
Level Up Sabers. If you're looking for a saber, drop there. The links in
You
the show
bet.
notes. Anyway, continue on.
Level Up Sabers is great, and there are other vendors out there as well. So it's a very crowded space to try to get into the FX lightsaber market. Hasbro for Black Series has made several. They've been successful. The prices continue to rise, and they continue to sell and sell out. So their big project, which of course, within a 60-day window, whatever it is that they're doing, was the Force FX Reva double-ended lightsaber. Which they dropped for a hefty price tag of $500 dues, as it were. Now, Mark, being someone who's experienced with sabers, what would your good folks at Level Up Lightsabers charge for something like this, in your experience?
Well, see, that's a tough one. They don't exactly have this exact kind of hilt. There are some double-ended blades.
Okay,
and
well, one of those. Yeah, one of those.
Most of the blades you can actually, or at least a few, including the one that I have, you can actually combine. Like the end cap screws off of mine, and if I had two of those, I could combine them to one big double-ended blade. So they are pretty versatile. And I don't know offhand. Let me quickly look up. I'm going to guess a couple of $100.
That's all right. Exactly. So let's say $200, maybe $300 tops. Okay, this is a $500 item, and again, Todd and I talked about this on Secret Friends, which you're going to be hearing on Friday. You're listening to this episode potentially the Wednesday of this week. We're recording it on a Monday. I had Todd kind of speak to it from the perspective of someone who works in logistics in the retail business. Cost of goods versus demand. Reva is a new character, brand new character that we've only been familiar with for a few months through one series, not a heritage character, I think, which really hurt this project, because this project did fail to fund it. It only achieved 1,413 backers out of the required 5,000. So it was a colossal failure by over 50%. It was a tough swing. The price was high. The appeal was low. We enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi show here, obviously, but the character of Reva, unfortunately, ended up being controversial for the same exact reasons that we were talking about right before we got here, which totally sucks. I feel like it was a perfect storm of wrong product at the wrong time. I don't doubt that the product would be great to have. I mean, came with a little stand and everything. It would be a great display piece. But again, Mark, the saber that I have the Heritage Hero saber that was Anakin / Luke / early Rey. Okay, I love that saber. Worked with I have a Yavin Luke as a cosplay. Worked perfectly. I got that for $150 probably when it came out, and I know that the prices have added an extra $100, $110, $115 since then, which makes sense if inflation goes by, but it's not necessarily probably to the level of, and Mark, you could speak to this more than I, then it's not really a battling saber. It is a cosplay piece. This is obviously a cosplay piece. I would get the vibe, but for $500, you would expect it to sing and dance for you. That is a lot of money regardless.
If it's spun, I could understand it.
Yeah, exactly. But
I was going to think that too.
I don't see any indication that it does anything but light up and sit there. And that is, to me, every reason why it failed. I mean, it's unfortunate. So, as I said, as you'll hear me talk about, over on SFU Prime, they're 0 for 2. They swung and missed with the Black Series. I put a poll up there on our Secret Friends group earlier this week. What's a Black Series item that people would pay for? A lot of people said X-Wing. A lot of people said Darth Vader's prototype TIE fighter would be a big hit that you could put him in. So yeah, I won't say it's unfortunate, and I won't say I'm surprised, because I know exactly why they failed. It was a confluence of things that just did not work marketing wise for this item.
Yeah,
and that's where they're at. That's where I think it's at.
I did while you were talking there for a second, I did look up the Mini Menace on levelupsabers.com.
Okay.
And so that one is a double blade. You can get it in baselit, so it is good for battling, and you could actually do some actual fighting with this. $199. If you want something that can really show off, this is like multicolored blades, tons of sound fonts, all that kind of stuff. The Xenopixel variety would be $299 again for the double-ended blade.
Okay, I was even thinking while you're talking. I remember my friend buying the Darth Maul double-bladed one in 2005 at Comic-Con, and it was $250 back then.
Right.
And,
20, yeah, exactly. 15, 20
so it's like
ago, so.
it's like $350 now compared to 2005, but still that's not $500.
Comparatively, if you hop over to Hasbro Pulse right now, there's another HasLab item going on for G.I. Joe, the Classified series, which is a 6-inch line. I pursued it for a while. I subsequently abandoned it, but it's the Hiss Tank. If you're at all familiar with the G.I. Joe line, that's a heritage enemy vehicle of Cobra. $300, and it has. I mean, I could bring it up right now, but it has tripled the number of required funders, and it still has at least 20 days to go. So as I'm talking, I should absolutely bring it up. But it's a great looking item. But again, for a price that some might consider to be absorbent, you look at something like that. I mean, I bought a Hiss Tank when I was a kid, and again, you don't necessarily compare what that looks like. But yeah, let me bring this up while we're talking here, because I'm just kind of curious. Active project Hiss Tank. Required 8,000 backers, 16,723 with 28 days to go.
Holy.
So they blasted out all their unlocks. I mean, and it added in a couple of extra drivers, a unique Cobra Commander figure, a unique like missile pods and racks and all this different shit. If I hadn't quit the line, I would drop this $300 because this thing looks sweet and everybody's getting on board with it. So, I think that. I really hope that the folks at Hasbro are kind of going back to the drawing board with Star Wars, because that Black Series line, which has been around since 2013, I have a massive, it's the biggest part of my action figure collection. If you've ever seen any of the things that I put out there on my social media, you've seen that I have a huge collection of Star Wars Black Series figures, but it's really paled down. It's been around for now 8-9 years, and they're really cranking, but what's left? People really focus on the heritage characters for that, and now you're finding some of the video game characters as well. But subsequent things like the sequel trilogy characters just have not caught, and that might further be a symptom of why this wasn't successful. So I hope the Hasbro people go back to the drawing board, have a little bit more success figuring out something that fans really want to spend $500 on.
Yeah, for sure. Trevor, are you a collector at all?
Slightly. I used to be, and I told myself stop that. Mainly because, well, here's the thing: I have ADHD, so I want to collect everything.
That's what they're counting on. That's how they get you.
Yeah, and so I've picked what stuff I have. Like I have the Black Series of Din Djarin at the very beginning of the series, and then him with the full armor. And I have an Ahsoka Black Series figure. Like there's a few of them here and there. Oh, the recent one I got was Cal Kestis, video game character.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, the main reason I bought that is because it had BD1.
I got the second gen of that one because I missed out on the first one. But it came with that, and it came with the
Wolf Cat.
The Wolf Cat. Was that a not the Lol?
I think it was a Wolf Cat.
Wolf Cat. The Lol Cat is funny. I think that's why they named it that. And then it also came with the Holocron and stuff. So I've got him battling it out with the Purge Trooper and with the Seventh Sister behind him. So they got a little diorama scenario happening.
Yeah.
First gen didn't come with any of that shit other than BD1.
No, it literally was just Cal.
I know,
but
with
BD1.
The first
Yeah.
gen has the better outfit though, because in the second gen one, he's wearing his
Oh, he's got the
coat.
poncho, isn't
Yeah,
it?
he's wearing a coat. So it's like, you're gonna fight in your poncho? This is
He
lame.
did through the whole
Sucks.
game.
Yeah.
I have two. I have Cal and Luke in the black outfit because that's my favorite. So,
Yeah, totally.
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the meat of this show. We're going to be jumping back finally after a little Obi-Wan Kenobi break
Right.
into our Skywalker Saga rewatch, and we're jumping back into this one with the sequels. Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
God.
This is kicking off the final 3 for now until Taika Waititi gets his shit together, I guess. Or Patty Jenkins, or whoever is next. I think Taika's is next, right?
We're going to have to keep,
It
treading water on this show until we get to a new movie. Thank God they're giving us shows to talk about. Thank God. We'll still be here.
So to start off, I did reach out just before we recorded, like 5 minutes before we started recording, and just said if anyone wants to share some stuff, so some thoughts or whatever, they could. So we got Louis One Kenobi at Dinsjarin 327 on Twitter. Great friend of the show, always commenting, always has great things to say. He said, the duel in the snowy forest was a visual masterpiece. The blue and red sabers contrasting the dark and gloomy forest. I thought it was great. Disney absolutely nailed the LED lightsabers, and I think this was the first time we saw like lightsabers really interacting with the environment like that. So it was quite spectacular. I interjected there after LED lightsabers. Sorry. Back to the quote though. Also, seeing General Leia Organa was awesome. Love Carrie Fisher. Blue heart. So thank you for writing now. I think that's the only one that we squeezed in.
Yeah, that's what I see here.
Before we started recording. But so let's jump into The Force Awakens, see what you guys thought. First off, I guess, general synopsis. What did you guys think of the story? I don't think we need to recap the story.
No.
Most people listening,
right.
I think will.
You think they may have seen it. So I will tell you, unique experience. This was before our local theater started doing assigned seating, and they had, the bucket seats that we would go to a certain theater. So this was in 2015 at the holidays. And not our local theater, but it was myself and my wife. We've been married for about a year. We're both geeks. We absorbed it. And we were raising her son together. He was 15. And so we did one of these where it's like, you buy a ticket and you got to find a seat to it. And so we went an hour and a half early. We're sitting in the very last row because it wasn't the recliner seats that we enjoy now, but it was the regular ass bucket seats. So we were in the back row, and we were on the back row and on the far left, I remember. So it's like on the aisle, the aisle walks up and we're sitting like right there at the end. And it was one of those, all right, it's finally coming down. The trailer's going, whatever's finally coming down. And then bam, that fanfare and that Star Wars. And my God, it had been 10 years since anyone had seen a Star Wars film, and people were losing their fucking shit over this thing. It was crazy, and I'll tell you, this film did not fail to deliver that entire time. I think I loved every damn thing about it. And I don't think I've had an experience like that. Well, I lie. I didn't have an experience like that again in the Skywalker Saga, but I definitely did when we got to Rogue One. Oh, my God. Oh my God! But we've already done Rogue One. We're not going to go back back in time / forward in time because we would already covered. We're not going to Tarantino that shit and go backwards.
Wibbly wobbly.
But oh my God, just everything about this was just. Yes, it was what's been described as the wags in the last 7-8 years, a soft reboot of Episode 4. But I was thinking about it because I watched this evening. It still introduced some great elements like, hey, you know what, the heroes absolutely lost, and then they went on and they lost again in the next one. So this was the beginning of a story of loss that totally just flipped the script with this New Order bit, and then Ben Skywalker and bringing together with Rey, and God, just visually from that very first moment with the drop down from the end of our scroll, and then just seeing the silhouette push past that moon. And that dun, 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 those 4 ships come out and swing down. And I was watching it and just watching those lights flicker, 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 flicker until you see those stormies. God, that shit was intense. It was just, and
very
again,
intense introduction for the stormtroopers.
In the first 5 minutes, just
way more efficient, tactical, militaristic. I know they've always been, but this showed it. It was like a war movie, flashing and that kind of stuff. Like they looked like a badass tactical unit. Like, oh, these stormtroopers don't miss.
They're geared up. These were geared up, trained, vicious. I mean, when you see them touch down in that village, they're getting shot at. The ramp drops down. They run out shooting. They're not fucking around. They run out shooting.
Was
they're falling down.
That was something I noticed this watch through, is that like, unlike a lot of other Star Wars where it's like there's that build up to the guns fired, like it was immediate. The doors drop and there's already blaster bolts firing.
Right. And you watch, even when that happens, all the villagers are shooting. And so the first thing you see is one fall, but everybody behind him is shooting. That guy was shooting and they just keep blasting away. And at the end of it, it's the flame trooper like, man, fucking set everything on fire. That's cool. Line everybody up. Shoot them. It's good. You know, Kylo Ren shows up, grab a blaster bolt, flip it. I mean, Kylo Ren.
That was the moment in the theater that I was like, "Oh shit, we're getting some new Star Wars."
Yeah, exactly. You never see. Yeah, that was. I mean, even going back to recording, because we've been doing Secret Friends since fall of 2014. So we talked about this movie when it came out. Todd and myself. He said, "I couldn't believe it when this new villain guy grabbed that bolt and was like." And then, and then Poe Dameron was like, he was doing the Mummy. You know, he was just like, you know, he was flipping the script. Yeah, you're right. That absolutely new Star Wars. But yeah, you have some stormtroopers that are just very much fuck around and find out. Dangerous shit. It's wild. It was wild. It shows you that the First Order says to the Empire, you know, here, hold my beer. You know, bad as hell.
I want to back up even before this first scene, really, and talk about the opening crawl, because it starts off with Luke Skywalker has vanished.
Yeah.
Right.
What the ever-loving hell? Like, did you guys go in? I remember going in and thinking like, okay, we're going to see Luke training some people again. I read the Young Jedi Academy series. That's what I'm going into this. I knew they weren't using the exact same characters, but I assume at this point, this is going to be like, yeah, Luke's training like, you know, this guy, you know, Finn, who we found out like, you know, with a lightsaber. We saw him with a lightsaber in the trailer, like maybe he's a new girl. Like, is that who he's training? Does he have a team? Is it, you know, whatever? And then it's like the first words are Luke Skywalker has vanished. And I just remember like, what do you mean? Like, no, pause this for a second. Stop scrolling.
I need to process a little bit.
Yeah. What is happening? Why?
It's not going to work.
So I like right off the bat, it was like, my expectations were just blown before a single friggin' frame of this movie happened. It was just the crawl. And I was just stunned. Like, Trevor, what was your like kind of first impressions of this one?
I mean, even from the crawl into the beginning of this movie, like, it is very J.J. Abrams. Like it is setting up mystery. It's setting up, subverting things. But like, you know, the Luke Skywalker is missing. No, I don't think anyone went into that theater and was just like, oh, Luke Skywalker's gone into hiding. Let's see what everybody does to try and find him.
Yeah, right. It's not going to be Scooby-Doo mysteries looking for Luke Skywalker. Yeah, exactly.
And so like the brilliance of that for me, for that first line, Luke Skywalker is missing, that you have a laundry list of questions immediately, and you are invested because the person you grew up with as your hero is gone, and you want to know why, you want to know how, you want to know where. And so I think that is the first piece of the crawl was really well done, because that did just immediately invest me into the movie.
Yeah. They also interjected a humor very early on to this, which I thought was
like, I talked, you talk.
Yeah,
I can't tell with the apparatus.
The helmet's really weird. Yeah.
Right.
It was so good. I immediately looked for Darren.
That was without a doubt. That was a JJ break right there. That was like, it's JJ. That's like I'm watching Alias or I'm watching Lost. You know, he's sticking a little humor in that bit. Yeah.
This movie is always special to me. And similar to Charlie, like I remember seeing this, and I was working at a credit union at the time, and there was an investment firm that I worked with a little bit through that rented out a theater the day before or the day of this movie coming out, and kind of invited like certain people. So I got like a basic private viewing with a theater full of like coworkers and stuff. But I remember seeing that with my wife, and hi, kitten.
This is Jesse.
Again, this is the stuff you miss if you're not watching the video.
Watch YouTube, get a cat.
There you go.
Watch YouTube, get a cat.
Catchphrase.
Nailed it.
But I remember, watching this, and my son's name is Finn, and the first time that Poe basically gave Finn his name, I just kind of like, yeah, okay, I like that. And I looked over at, my wife, and I don't even think we were married at this point. Like, we're just dating, but like kind of, like pretty, I think we were living together at that point, but like, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, okay. Like, we had the, do you want to have kids talk like eventually down the road, but like we hung on to the name Finn since after that. And I remember talking about it even on the drive home of like turning out, we take a left at the lights out of the theater. And I remember talking about it as we turned, like, so like, Finn's a cool name. And she was like, yeah, I really like that. Like, I'm gonna hold on to that one. Like, really? You're going to let me name a Star Wars character? Yeah. Okay. You're like, sure enough, a few years later, a 2-year-old upstairs fighting sleeps right now, named after this ex stormtrooper. I thought it was such a powerful scene of him taking off his stormtrooper helmet. I think that's the first time that we've seen anyone take off a stormtrooper helmet since it was a farm boy and a scruffy looking nerf herder. Like, I don't think we've ever seen any other person unhelmet themselves in that kind of way. So it was so powerful that way that it was just like, for me, it was just, I love that character. I don't exactly love the way they went with him. And I think they kind of could have done so much more, but there's still, that's still very special to me anytime I watch this, that I'm like, yeah,
that's awesome.
That's my boy. Right. Like, so saying that, I want to know your guys' favorite characters. Trevor, let's start with you. Favorite characters in this movie.
Oh, I mean, like I said, I love Poe Dameron. Like, as soon as he got on there, because like I'm Spider-Man's my favorite superhero because he cracks jokes when he's scared, just like I do. And so Poe Dameron just getting in there and immediately, being witty to this evil entity in front of him, I absolutely loved that. And then, like, to the point that when he comes in later, with the X-Wing squadron, I was absolutely cheering in the theaters because I'm just like, just get more Poe. But I like, honestly, like Poe, Finn, and Rey, I loved all three of them in this movie, like for completely different reasons. And I think that's one reason why this movie still is so good for me, is that like I love the new cast so much, just immediately. And so I would go with those three. I'm gonna cheat and say those three.
That's fine. That works for me.
That's
throw BB-8 in there.
That shit is fair cheating. That's okay.
We're gonna love BB-8 instantly.
Oh yeah, BB-8's great.
Oh yeah,
so
my wife's favorite. She always loves the cutesy. Always loves the droids. So that's my wife's favorite. Yeah.
Charlie, what about you? Any specific? Like, I don't think we've ever talked about like your favorite new character.
No new character. God, I was going to fall back on talking about how much I loved Han Solo,
and that's fine. You can do that.
Because again, it's a character I cosplay with. The hair helps, but again, he, like me, is someone who has just been through a lot. He's separated from his child. He's separated from his wife. I've dealt with both of those situations in my life, ongoing and recurring and relapsing and whatever it is. But he is just, everybody knows, because it's always my sign off, that I say, keep on trucking. You keep on moving in life. And that's where I see Han in this movie, and he's got Chewie next to him. And again, that's me and Mark. We keep on trucking. We're the pair. We're the Star Wars pair. But yeah, life is about, how many times you get kicked in the nuts and you're like, okay, I'm up. Let's keep going. You know what? I don't have the Falcon anymore because I lost it. Let's get on this shitty freighter. And we're going to go do some more smuggling and hustling, because I love it when he gets caught between the two gangs that he's ripping them both off. And they're like, now we're gonna fuck you for it because we got you. You know
Remember
what I mean?
how I was saying earlier that like the beginning of Revenge of the Sith was like very Clone Wars? That segment on the freighter was extremely Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, is Hondo gonna show up too?
I was just gonna say, if you threw Hondo into
great.
that scene, like
right,
it
and
would
it was Indy at the beginning. You know, it was Indy who's another character I cosplay. You know, to some regard.
Yeah.
At the beginning of Temple of Doom with Nurhachi and with Lao Che and Club Obi-Wan. You know, at the beginning of that film, where he's trying to hustle for the remains of Nurhachi, and you drank the poison, Dr. Jones, and then that whole scene where he's trying to hustle his way out of getting killed. That's why I have always loved Harrison Ford, and I think the two saddest days in this country will be when we lose John Williams and when we lose Harrison Ford, because it's really honest to God, real talk, not so far away, because they're older. They're older like my parents are older. They're in their 70s, they're in their 80s. You know what I mean? So.
Especially Harrison Ford, where he tries to.
He is doing everything he can to fucking die. That guy, Jesus, he's gonna fly a plane into the side of the Chrysler Building. I swear to God,
he's
King Kong.
He's just, every time it's like, he got crushed by a door. Oh no, he crashed a plane into a barn. Like, it's just, what are you? Stop letting this man operate heavy machinery.
Just don't even let him drive. Get him a driver. Pay for the driver. Get him Bubble Boy. Get him ramped up and let him bounce around like John Travolta. There you go.
Keeps on ticking.
Oh my God, it's crazy. But but I pick Old Man Han Solo because I feel him. I feel everything that he struggles with. He is me. I'm not Episode 4 Han Solo, that's somebody cool and sexy who gets the girl. I'm Old Man Han Solo who's grumpy and life has really fucked me over, and I'm just trying to keep going.
You enjoy telling people that's not how the Force works.
That's not how the Force works. All of it. Well, I just remember jumping forward to Episode 9 where he's the Vision talking to his son. He says, "Hey kid," and that's how I talk to my son. Hey kid. That's what my voice sounds like. Because I am just that beaten down.
Yes, this is your podcast voice. Anytime you're off that,
it's all grizzled.
It's very Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, speaking of hey kid,
did you say who your favorite characters is?
I kind of agree. I started with Finn, and it was such.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You did say Finn. I think that should be your favorite one. Otherwise, that'd be. Finn's great and all, but Poe Dameron, that's a name.
That guy. Oh my God, that's a sexy name. I don't even need to see it. Jesus.
Well, see, I couldn't get away with it because Poe is such a weird name. At least Finn is kind of like a normal-ish kind of name.
Sure, why not?
I can kind of get away with that without my mother slapping me in the face. What do you mean you had a girl
cut it out? Oh boy.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Although, Daisy's on the back burner if we ever have a girl. That's
right. It's that one tracks. Cool. That's okay. Yeah, I think you can get away with it.
But I have to agree with Trevor. The new characters were so good.
Yep,
I know they really nailed it.
The thing that I noticed in this this time watching through, that I think one reason why Finn and Rey become such good characters so quickly is that stuff is falling behind me. Is that they there is several scenes immediately in the very beginning of this movie where they are running towards danger. Rey sees BB-8 getting kidnapped by that weird puppet dude, and she immediately runs over there and helps him. And when Finn sees Rey with the two guys coming behind her, he starts running towards her to help. Obviously, she kicks their asses. But I love the fact that these characters were the ones that were running towards danger. They were the ones that were, doing the hero thing, and you got that very quickly from them.
Instantly, yeah.
And then Poe's just a badass.
Yeah. Poe goes into danger face first with a smile. Finn's a little hesitant and kind of wants to get away. But I loved that specifically about Finn, where he wants to get away, but he's still not scared to jump in and face danger, even though he wants to go to the furthest of the outer rim territories. But when the shit hits the fan and he's up against a wall, he's still someone you can rely on,
Yeah.
as scared as he is and as much as he wants to get away. And I think that, you know, it shows how brave he is and just how much character he has.
Yeah, like you know, he's obviously afraid of the First Order because he has seen firsthand what the First Order does and everything like that. So like I at least in my memory, all the times that he's running away is because he's afraid of the First Order. And then when it actually shows up, and you know, Maz Kanata puts a lightsaber in his hand, he's just like, okay, let's freaking go.
I'm in. Let's party.
Yeah. And I will say this, to this day, that stormtrooper goes, traitor, and I'm just like, let's go.
What you got?
Still one of my go-to Fortnite emotes.
Yeah.
Is,
I love that
100%.
scene so much, and again, like, and they even made it just a little bit sweeter in an expanded comic that Finn knew that dude and trained with him, and that dude kicked his ass all the time. I love that.
I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
Thought of that comic while I was watching it this weekend.
Right. No, I remember that too. That's good stuff. Awesome.
Okay, so we just talked about one of my favorite scenes is that whole thing of that whole battle at Maz's castle, and like you said, the X-Wings coming in. What are some of your guys' favorite scenes? Trevor, let's start again with you. Any specific things stick out?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, that whole scene on Takodana, like from the beginning when they land, like honestly, like I love this movie start to finish, but the movie really kicks off as soon as the Falcon is flying over the forest and everything like that. Like you start getting the connections between Rey and Han, and you know, Finn struggling with everything, and you get the Force vision. But I do think that I'm actually going to agree with the person that wrote it on Twitter. The lightsaber fight at the end is just, it's so good. Like between Kylo getting shot and like just hitting himself over and over to get the anger and the rage going. Finn picking up the saber. We're not done
yet.
Yeah. And I mean, to echo the earlier thing, like he yells traitor at Finn, and it's very much Finn's past, you know, screaming at him. And so to get that moment of him, you know, because that's the first time in live action we had a non-Force user fighting with the saber, because we had Han, you know, open the thing, but this is the first time that we had, like, at the time, a non-Force user using it. Now, obviously, we know that is different, as it should have been earlier. I told myself I wouldn't say anything about the next film, and that's as close as I'm gonna get. But then, you know, like you're saying, the colors of it, like the fact that was the first time that we got the colors coming off the blades, and I remember the first time I actually noticed it. It's when Rey is locked in the saber with Kylo at the edge, and just all of the colors flashing everywhere, and her closing her eyes and everything. Fantastic moment, so well done. I will say this though. The end of that fight, I do remember, like when the ground opens up and splits them, I do remember in the theater just going, "Oh, come on." and then I immediately said in my head, okay, but like, first off, the Force. Second off, what did you want? Did you want Kylo to die here and be a Darth Maul? And I was like, all right, shut up. I'll sit back and like.
All right.
I was like, all right.
They had to do something to keep those characters alive.
Exactly.
No one was walking out with that, other than the Earth literally splitting in half.
Yeah.
Which always hurts me after I found out that was Ilum, especially spending time there with.
Oh my God,
Fallen
that was
Order.
Very sad. Your literal murder of Jedi tradition was Starkiller.
Recently, I actually ran a Star Wars RPG for a bunch of friends, and I at one point they ended up on Ilum. They ended up there a few times, and they really loved that planet and doing that and everything. And then I thought they had known, and I was just like, yeah, it's real fucked up that the First Order turns this place into Starkiller base, and they're all like, what? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have said that nice. I'm gonna go over here. I'm sorry. So I was a bit of a monster.
That's what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Heartbreak and sadness. Overall importance in the Star Wars saga.
Whoa.
Well, you didn't do the other favorite scenes. You got to do your favorite scenes.
Other favorite scenes. Sorry.
What am I, fucking chopped liver over here?
Yes. No, sorry, Charlie. Favorite scenes.
I will punctuate it very briefly. Jedi Steps. Not only the
Oh,
theme, but then watching, and it's bittersweet, not for what we see in this film, but Rey, ascending to her destiny, but then reaching Luke and reaching out the saber, and then that's the end of the film, which is just like, oh God, it's absolutely perfect. What follows in The Last Jedi, potentially not perfect, but again, you don't know, we're not going to put the cart before the horse, but that moment of everything in my life has led me to this moment.
Yeah.
Was, life in general, you'll find you young guys will realize as time goes on that so much of your life is filled with moments, something you experience, and you move on from it. Different things happen. But for Rey at her life, and again, she has a very weird life. She, lived alone on this weird planet, and a lot of stuff didn't happen for a long time, and she was just dealing with, being a scavenger or whatever, and then all this crazy shit happens in a 48-hour period, and now she's standing in front of the greatest Jedi who's ever lived, arguably, and presenting him with his weapon that he lost 30 years ago. It was magnificent, and it was a pregnant pause, to use an expression used in writing, that unfortunately ultimately didn't pay off. But in 2015, sitting in that theater, it was pregnant like a motherfucker. It was 9 months pregnant. It was 9.5 months pregnant. It was an extraordinarily pregnant moment, and I think unmatched, really, in its time.
And again, the John Williams score for that part.
Right.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
And thinking about it from that standpoint of like 48 hours ago, she was just kind of on Jakku or whatever, or like however long. And it's thinking of like, she's gone from Han saying like, it's true, the Force, the Jedi, all of it. It's all true, to like literally handing Luke Skywalker his old lightsaber. I personally always interject in that scene just because I'm a jackass. Did you happen to find a hand with the lightsaber? That's just because I'm twisted and
I think broken. That's great. I think that's hilarious.
That's there was a hand.
There was a hand with this last time. Did you maybe no?
Okay. So that's it. But yeah, man, that's such a great scene. I always love also small scene, because you guys kind of mentioned most of my favorites, but I do love, there's something always about Chewie, we're home. Just that line, that scene, them walking back onto the Falcon.
We're all going to remember seeing that trailer for the first time.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. It was the end of 2014, probably Thanksgiving weekend. I was up at my in-laws in extreme northern Michigan. I'm like, I hope I get a signal on my phone that I watched that trailer. I was like, fuck! Oh my God, it's real Star Wars. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Yeah. All right. So I think I already mentioned this, but let's talk about overall importance to the Star Wars saga. I skipped the favorite scenes because I was excited to kind of point out something that I think I've kind of hinted at the show before, but in rewatching it this weekend, it was so evident. Again, there's some stuff you can say about the next few movies or whatever, but one thing that I did like seeing in this was laying the ground for the Force dyad.
Yeah.
Specifically with Rey being in proximity to Kylo and that awakening something in her, or awakening the dyad. People said when this first came out, and people continue to say the kind of shit of like, Rey never trained, how is she so powerful? It's because she was a dyad. When she was that close to Kylo Ren, she started downloading his training like the goddamn Matrix, and just started learning everything right away. Yep. So
Matrix that shit. Boom!
She's not figuring things out on her own. She's getting this dump of like, oh, I know Kung Fu. Like that happened to her. And the closer she got, he's trying to read her mind, and he's like, oh, this is how that works. Cool. Because I can block that now, but I can also control this stormtrooper, Daniel Craig, and tell him to drop his gun. And
I'm so glad I'm not the only one that always refers to that as the Daniel Craig stormtrooper.
Oh my God. And redub. But Mark, I have to ask you, if they were Kung Fu fighting, was it fast as lightning?
Of course. Have you seen the Jedi move?
Were they a little bit frightening?
Always frightening.
Did they have
I almost
expert
said
timing?
Darth Ren. Oh, for sure. The most expert of timings.
Oh my God,
Always.
I can't. Man, respect to 70s one-hit wonder Carl Douglas. Bet you didn't know that I knew the name of who did the song. That's what I do.
I'm very
Well
impressed, Charlie. Your music knowledge never ceases to amaze, to be honest.
I'm the guy.
So for me, the overall importance to this one, again, you get the glimpse at the old characters, fantastic new characters, and setting up some stuff that some paid off, some didn't in the next couple of movies, but like really setting up characters that we were instantly, like Trevor said a little while ago, like instantly connected with, a mystery that you were instantly intrigued by, and I thought this was great, whether it delivered over the next two films or not, and you can have various opinions on that one, and we'll get into that.
Those are two other shows.
Right, two very other shows. But what do you guys think overall importance for this one?
I'm gonna go out and say, for me personally, I've said it before. I'm Empire, I'm New Hope, Rogue One, then Jedi. This would be number 5. This is the most significant story chronologically that followed after the original trilogy, without a doubt. Made a dent, gave us a new direction. Thank God they did be like, and it's a week after Return of the Jedi, and here's what's going on with these characters.
Oh my God!
I mean, how? Or
Mandalorian.
We just decided to adapt this book from and I know a lot of people love the EU, and I understand that. You guys talk about your reverence, but no, you know what Disney said? We bought Star Wars. We're wiping the table off. Start new story.
Charlie, you misunderstand me. I may love Kyle Katarn and a lot of the EU, but the moment that Disney bought it and they're like, we blew up the EU, I was just like, the Yuuzhan Vong don't exist! The Yuuzhan Vong don't exist!
I have 100% heard the vast majority of people said 75% of the EU is total crap.
When you get Luke,
it's just like, that's with 2 or maybe 7 different U's in it. Up to you.
Wasn't it 4? It was 4, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, I think it was 4.
It was just no. You know what? Nobody was driving the boat between 83 and 2013. It was just it was bad.
We're off on a bit of a tangent talking about Luke.
Are.
Let's get back to how important this movie is.
I would say, without a doubt, significant. I really hope that the momentum, even though it arguably diminished over the next 2 films, does continue in some form and doesn't just die out. And again, Patty Jenkins, Rogue Squadron, looking at you, give us something. That's post ST, please.
Yeah.
Trevor, what about you? You kind of agree with that assessment?
Yeah, no, I think this movie is extremely important to the saga. Like something that I was talking about with the fight, I think this is the most Force influenced of any of the movies. Like we always get those coincidences throughout all of the saga, but this one has them more often, and in that way that it's like it feels like something is leading the character somewhere. And you can have problems with that in writing, but if this was the first Star Wars movie, it would be absolutely panned because there's so many coincidences happening, so many like weird little things. What are the odds that Rey was on the planet where Poe was, and then they were also all these little things that were happening, but it everything we have from the the expanded stuff now and everything like that, like it's the Force, like that's what it was. It was guiding these things, and so The Force Awakens being the title of it and it having all of these coincidences in it, I absolutely love it. And it was the Force coming back, and it's great. I think it is very important to the saga overall.
For sure. Charlie, you already said your rank around number 5. Trevor, where's this rank for you?
Oh crap, I haven't done this in a while.
Is it to crack your top 5? You don't have to, specifically pick.
I think,
but is it?
I think it would hit 5. I think it would hit 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm right about there with you. I think Return of the Jedi and Empire are a little bit higher up, and even Episode 4. But I switch back and forth with, like, again, is nostalgia stronger. Something I talked with Sean, on We the Gamercast, something I talked about earlier in this show. And it's like, nostalgia aside, like, is this, do I enjoy watching this movie more than some of the others? So yeah, it's probably,
I feel like when it's your personal rating though, it's got to have the nostalgia. It's got to have that there.
Yeah. And that's why it usually ends up 4 or 5 for me, because I usually go with the OT in weird, like, different order or whatever, and then I'll throw in this movie, and then kind of Revenge of the Sith or something like that as well, or Rogue Squadron, depending on how depressed I'm feeling that day.
Touche.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Do you guys have any last minute things you want to kind of share that we didn't touch on?
I really enjoyed watching this. Took me right back to that theater, in 2015, and just there was an entire Lego Star Wars game devoted to this film, and then obviously a segment of the most recent one, which I really enjoyed. And it was funny. April and I watched it, and I said, "Oh, babe, do you remember when we were in Maz's castle? Because we played the most recent Star Wars saga one together, and how you got to climb and do all this different shit and run up and down and this and that." And it's just like, it's just fun. It's just it was a great moment in time when Star Wars got to live again and feel like you didn't have to deal with the things that I didn't like about the prequels that were really revitalized in this. That was really fantastic. So it was a great moment in time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it nailed Star Wars. It was a great Star Wars movie. I loved it. I don't know what else. I don't know what else more there is to say about it. Yeah, it's just it's great.
It nailed Star Wars. That's such a great way to say it. I love that. That's I think a great place to end this. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
An amazing chat about a great movie that, like you said, nailed Star Wars. I can't say it any better. That's perfect. Please, once again, remind people where they can find you on the internet.
The best place to find me is on Twitter at the Trevor. There is an A hiding in there. I do way too many. Yeah, Treavor. That is actually a nickname for me in the Idle Champions community. So
I got it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm the community manager for Idle Champions. I do way too many podcasts. You can find all of those on my Twitter account, and all the other weird stuff that I do.
Excellent. And the links, of course, will be in the show notes. So if you didn't get that all while he was saying it, make sure you look at the description, click follow, and listen to some of those shows, because that's just an awesome amount of podcasts and some awesome names and topics and stuff. So there's something for everyone, I think, in your repertoire. So again, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good deal. All right. You can find me, of course, over on Twitter at the C3. Spell it out. On socials all over the place, just under my regular name. My wife, April, and I do run the West Michigan chapter of the International Star Trek fan club. That is the USS Grand Petoskey. You can find us under socials and our website at that same name. And of course, I try to populate the Facebook page of Secret Friends Unite with content when I can. So I do the best I can. But always out there trying to live that geek life.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, at our Discord channel, wherever, at _Canardian.
Rock and roll. Good stuff. Well, friends, thank you as always for joining us. I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring. To keep on trucking.
Rex, may the force be with you. Jesus, I'm all confused. I'm ready for a nap. May the force be with you, Rex. Play us out. That's the longest you've ever gone on that one. That's impressive.
I was, when it comes to music, when you have a vibe, you don't let go of the vibe. So that's what I was doing.
It's true.
That's it. I'm feeling it. This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.